Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we are cracking open a really complex idea. Imagine a vast digital library, one that holds the keys to, I don't know, maybe curing glioblastoma.
Or predicting heart failure years before a single symptom shows up.
Exactly. The potential is just immense.
It's the ultimate library of human health. But there's a problem. All the doors are locked, and they have been for decades.
And those locks are there for a very good reason. I mean, the data inside is, well, it's us. It's our genetic code, our mental health records, our deepest vulnerabilities.
And that creates this fundamental tension, this privacy paradox.
Right, you have this massive demand for data to drive discovery, but you also have this non-negotiable right to privacy.
For a long, long time, it was a zero-sum game. You could have more privacy, but that meant less data for innovation.
Or you could chase cures more aggressively, but you'd risk exposing millions of people's private information.
You had to pick one.
So our mission in this deep dive is to explore the solution that's finally breaking that cycle. We're talking about a technology that acts as a bridge between that rock-solid security and accelerated discovery.
We were talking about synthetic data.
And this is a technology that is fundamentally rewriting the rules of the game. So let's start there. Let's start with the problem. Why was our reliance on real patient data creating such a bottleneck? Why were we stuck in what you called the data dark age?
The biggest reason is just that real data is tied to a person. It's legally and, frankly, morally explosive stuff. We have these crucial laws, HIPAA in the US, GDPR over in Europe.
And they're essential, absolutely essential.
Non-negotiable, but they create these huge pain points for researchers.
And it's not just about the security, it's the logistics. I mean,
Yeah.
I saw one estimate that for a researcher in California to share data with a team in Berlin, it's not just a few emails.
No.
It could take a year, maybe 18 months and tens of thousands of dollars just to get the legal agreements sorted out.
It's bureaucracy measured in years. And the real cost is, well, it's lost time. It's lost scientific momentum.
But there's a technical reason too, right? This whole issue of re-identification. It used to be that you could just, strip off the name and date of birth and call it a day.
Right, that was the old way. Simple de-identification.
But that's just not enough anymore, is it?
Not even close. Because of something called the mosaic effect.
The mosaic effect.
Yeah, it's this idea of data fusion. Researchers proved pretty convincingly that even if you only have a few bits of public data, say a 5-digit ZIP code, a birth date, and maybe the day they were admitted to a hospital.
Just those three things.
Just those three. You can cross-reference that with public voter rolls or, social media purchasing data, and you can re-identify a specific person with shocking accuracy.
Wow. So you don't even need the name. You just need enough puzzle pieces to make a unique picture.
That's the mosaic. And we've seen this happen. Think about that Netflix prize competition years ago.
Oh, yeah.
They released anonymized movie ratings, and researchers were able to figure out who people were just by linking those ratings to public movie reviews they'd written elsewhere.
And the AOL search data leak was another one.
Exactly. The point is, real data is sticky. It always has these little breadcrumbs that can lead back to the source.
And because of that stickiness and the threat of multi-million-dollar fines, institutions just get paralyzed.
That's it. You get what we call data silos. Every hospital, every research center just hoards its data. They lock it down out of fear.
But for something like a rare disease, that's a disaster. If one hospital has 50 cases and another has 50.
Neither one has enough to find a real pattern. You need the 100 cases together, but that wall of fear and red tape keeps them apart. Research just gets stuck.
Which leads us directly to the solution, to synthetic data. It's designed specifically to break down those walls while actually making privacy stronger. So let's define this properly, because I think when people hear synthetic, they think fake or random.
And that's a really critical distinction to make. It is artificial, yes, but it is absolutely not random. It's not fake in the way that it's useless. It's computationally generated to have the exact same statistical soul, if you will, as the original data.
The same patterns, the same correlations.
Exactly. But with one huge difference. It contains zero information that can be linked back to an actual person.
I've heard this great analogy of a master painter. The painter looks at a landscape. That's the real data. They study it, internalize it.
Right, they learn all the patterns, the relationships.
Then they go into a windowless studio and paint that landscape purely from memory. The painting is perfect, it has the same colors, the same perspective, but you can't actually walk on the grass. There's no physical link to the real place.
That's a great way to put it. The key difference is that the algorithm's memory isn't fallible like ours. It's pure mathematics. It learns the precise distributions.
So, if a patient has marker X and factor Y, the probability of outcome Z is 85%.
Exactly. And the generator then creates millions of new, totally artificial patient records that follow those exact same mathematical rules.
And because it's newly generated, there's no history. There's no link back to you or me. That stickiness is just gone.
It's a complete break from the source. It's not just a best effort like scrubbing names. It's a mathematical guarantee of privacy.
And that guarantee has a name, right? Differential privacy.
That's the one.
This is where we get into the math a little bit. You see it denoted by that Greek letter, epsilon.
Right, and the formal definition can look a little scary. You see P of M of D is an S is less than or equal to E to the epsilon times P, and so on.
Yeah, it's a bit of an alphabet soup. So what does that actually mean for us? For the listener, what's the guarantee?
In simple terms, it means that the final result, the synthetic data set, would look almost exactly the same whether or not your specific data was included in the original set.
So my personal information doesn't change the outcome in any meaningful way.
Precisely. The smaller that epsilon value is, the stronger the privacy shield. Your presence is mathematically blurred into the crowd.
Which makes re-identification not just hard, but provably impossible.
That's the guarantee. It's a level of certainty that simple de-identification could never, ever provide.
Okay, so we've established why it's safe. Let's talk about how it's actually driving discovery. What are the immediate wins here?
The first one is just speed, immediate collaboration. Real patient data is classified as PHI, personal health information.
And that comes with a mountain of rules.
A mountain. Just to move it across state lines, let alone country borders, requires specific encryption, legal sign-offs.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare. Synthetic data has none of that legal weight.
So you can share it in days, not years.
Instantly, the regulatory bottleneck just dissolves.
And of course, AI is incredibly data hungry. To get a model to learn how to spot tumors in an X-ray, you can't just feed it 100 images.
No, you need thousands, sometimes millions of examples, so the model can learn to generalize to new patients instead of just memorizing the ones it's seen.
And synthetic data can provide that fuel.
It provides massive, clean data sets for training and validation, and here's the key part. Without ever exposing a single real patient scan to an external developer or a potentially insecure cloud server.
This has to be massive for rare diseases, right? Solving that scarcity problem.
Oh, it's a total game changer. Imagine a disease that only affects, say, 200 people in the world.
I can't do a study on that. It's statistically meaningless.
Impossible. But now you can take those 200 real cases, use them as a seed, and generate 20,000 synthetic cases that follow the same biological rules.
Suddenly you have a data set you can actually work with.
You have a data set that makes research possible where before it was a statistical dead end.
Okay, but let's be critical for a second. What about bias? If your original data set is flawed, say, it mostly includes patients from wealthy urban areas.
Garbage in, garbage out.
Right. Won't the synthetic data just copy and even amplify those same biases?
That is a fantastic point, and it leads to one of the most powerful aspects of this. It's not just a passive mirror, it can be an improvement.
How so?
Because the researchers control the generation process. If they see the original data is, say, 80% male, they can literally tune the algorithm.
To what?
To produce a perfectly balanced 50-50 data set. Or they can even oversample the underrepresented groups to make sure the final model works for them.
So you're actively correcting for the flaws in real-world data collection to build fairer AI.
Exactly. It's a huge ethical step forward. It ensures the innovations actually work for everyone.
So how is this actually done? What's the tech behind the curtain that's making this happen?
It's all based on modern generative AI. Very similar to the models that create those incredibly realistic AI images. One of the main types is a GAN, a generative adversarial network.
That's the one with the two competing networks.
Precisely. You have a generator that creates new synthetic patient records and a discriminator that tries to tell if they're real or synthetic.
And they fight it out.
They compete. And in doing so, the generator gets better and better until its output is statistically indistinguishable from the real thing.
And you mentioned there's other tech too.
Yeah, things like variational autoencoders and increasingly diffusion models. And diffusion models are the exact same tech behind those stunning AI images you see online.
But instead of learning about pixels in a landscape,
they're learning the complex distributions of health data. The subtle shifts in an EKG, how different biomarkers interact over time, the specific texture of a tumor in a scan. They learn the rules and then they generate new, plausible examples.
Which brings us to the real-world impact. Where are we seeing this move out of the lab and into the hospital today?
Well, one immediate area is infectious disease. We're already seeing major hospitals sharing synthetic patient databases to study the long-term effects of things like COVID-19.
Without having to move any actual patient records.
Not a single one. And in medical imaging, it's huge. A software developer in Silicon Valley can build a life-saving AI to spot tumors using synthetic scans.
Without ever seeing a real person's private X-ray.
It completely decouples the tool development from the sensitive data. It's a massive win for privacy.
What about clinical trials?
That's another huge one, synthetic control arms. Instead of giving hundreds of patients in a trial a placebo, which is, ethically tricky.
Very tricky.
You can use a highly validated synthetic data set to simulate how a normal control group would respond. It can speed up trials and mean fewer patients have to go without a potentially effective treatment.
This all sounds incredibly powerful. But let's shift gears to the guardrails. I mean, with any new tech this potent, there have to be risks, right? Ethical sticking points.
Oh, absolutely. The main practical challenge is what we talked about earlier, finding that Goldilocks zone.
The balance between fidelity or usefulness and privacy.
Exactly. You demand 100% privacy.
Yeah.
You basically just get static. The data is useless. But if you push for 100% fidelity,
the risk of re-identification starts creeping back up.
And that's a constant engineering and ethical challenge.
Which ties right into validation. I mean, if the synthetic data says a new drug works, but the real-world data says it doesn't, that's a catastrophe.
That's a catastrophe. Trust is everything. So you need these really rigorous frameworks for testing the synthetic data. You run the same analysis on both the real and synthetic sets and make sure the conclusions line up. If they don't, you throw the synthetic data out. It's that simple.
And we can't forget garbage in, garbage out. The model is a mirror, not a magic wand.
Right. If your original data is biased or incomplete, the synthetic data will faithfully reproduce those flaws. It only knows what you show it.
And finally, what about the law? Is the legal system keeping up?
In a word, no. The tech is moving way faster than the policy. While most experts agree that truly private synthetic data isn't personal data under laws like GDPR,
the courts haven't fully weighed in yet.
The case law isn't there. There's ambiguity. And we need clear rules to make sure this tech isn't used as a loophole to, get around necessary ethical reviews just by slapping a synthetic label on it.
So let's bring it all home. For you, the listener, what does this all mean? We started this deep dive with the privacy paradox. This idea that you had to choose between your privacy and medical progress.
A choice nobody wants to make.
Synthetic data breaks that cycle. It's an ethical engine. It lets us move from that data dark age into a future where global collaboration on cures is the norm, not the exception. It proves we can have both ambitious discovery and absolute protection.
We've spent this time talking about how synthetic data can reflect reality and maybe even correct for biases in it. But I want to leave you with a final, more provocative thought.
Go for it.
What are the implications of using this technology not just to mirror reality, but to invent it? Could we generate data for entirely new, plausible biological patterns that we haven't even seen yet in the real world?
To simulate what a future virus might look like.
Or to model the exact molecular key needed to unlock a cure for a cancer, creating data for something that doesn't exist yet, just to speed up the search. The real question is, how do we, as scientists and as a society, learn to trust a reality that we ourselves invented?